So we are just about streaming.
Okay. Hi, Ranny. Thanks for joining us today. Hi, Ravi.
Hi,
Hi,
hi guys.
Alvin. Hi, Rafi.
How are you
Hello.
doing?
All good. I think like the world now is smiling like better than the before, right? Now people can meet up directly, and
Oh,
Indonesia start
yeah.
to picking up also. We are now can go outside without needing to use the mask. So it's kind of new spirit, and I think everybody is also nervous on preparing ourselves. This is the new normal.
Yeah. No, true. I think we actually met up from my first company. I think we all met up in Singapore, and then there were there were so many of us last week Thursday. Some of the seniors, again ex-seniors in India, they actually thought we were all in India, right? And they said, "Hey, how come so many guys and you can meet up?" I said, "Yeah, it's now the economy is reviving, so we all can go out." So I think it's definitely great, because I think that meeting piece was really important, right? We pick
Yeah,
up these energy bites when we meet
the
people, talk,
bonding. Yes.
bonding. So I think and that way is, I think a lot of organizations are also getting into the hybrid mode, right?
Yeah.
They're not forcing employees to come back, but they are making offices available for employees to at least be there once or
Yep.
twice a week, and then
Correct.
they can come in. Okay, great. um, Great. So I think Ravi, what did you do last when you could meet up with people around?
Yeah, I think first of all, I want to thank Rani for coming on and spending her precious time with us over this Saturday. I think it means a lot to have CXOs, especially at such a senior level, coming in and sharing their perspective.
Right.
And it's always good to get perspectives from different markets. So I'm really thrilled to have Rani come in and talk about her experience of leading large teams and also helping a lot of students in her role in Indonesia. So really excited. I wish I can meet her in person, but this is my plan. So Rani, back to your question, Abhi, what will I do when I'm able to meet more people? I think I'll meet them in person. So that's my take. But over to you guys. I'm looking forward to a really exciting discussion.
Awesome. Thanks, Rani. I think getting into what we were discussing, earlier yesterday, and the intent of this session is to give students who are in the final year of college, and maybe early professionals who were passing out this year and getting into the corporate, right? The overall intent is to understand from you what do you see as changes between pre-COVID. So a lot of these students or early professionals, when they got into the college, it was like pre-COVID, and either they're passing out next year or this year, it's post-COVID, right? But the world pre-COVID is no more a pre-COVID plus plus. It's like a complete different world, right?
It is. It is. Yes. Agree with
Post-COVID
you.
is a complete different animal altogether, right? So having said that, what do you see in terms of changes? Because I know that you're doing a lot of things. So that's the overall intent. But could I request you to maybe just give us a glimpse of your journey, pre-COVID, post-COVID? How I know we are associated with Asia HRM. You are core committee member. You're also heading the Indonesia market for Asia HRM engagements. You are a strategy director in the HR space. So what's give us maybe your journey a little bit, and then we could get
Sure.
into the sharing.
Yeah. So, I'm doing my things on HR field for quite long. So it's already this is my 22nd year as an HR person. But the last 3 to 4 years is quite challenging. I think everyone feels about that, especially HR, because we are not talking about ourselves, but also about
Right.
how we protect the whole family in our organization, right?
Right.
So a lot of things happens during this
Yeah.
when I do remember on March how we do the lockdown in Indonesia, and then
Right.
it's like quite chaos because we are not ready to really close down doing everything remotely. But then
Yeah.
after 3 years, Now we are here almost 3 years, right? We are now we are survived, right? With all the drama that happens during that period on how we prepare ourselves and the team.
Right.
But we are now facing another challenge, to be honest. When we are talking about COVID, like we was very nervous. We don't have the cure yet. We don't know what to do at that time, how to prepare everybody. And then we found like the vaccine, and we make it like a broad, everybody has to take it. So we are more safe and more, we are able to deliver again, because the businesses need to run also, right? And the changes now is happen when, the word is now it's become, as I mentioned earlier, that we can smile wider now comparing to before. Now we start opening the mask. I believe in Singapore now, you guys are not using mask. So it's quite okay. It's quite okay, but then at the same time, I think we realized there is a changes of the expectation from us, from the people who already work. We need to adjust again, but at the same time, a lot of young talent start coming to the market. And that's another homework also for us, because how we help them, because I believe that now the people who, all the people who was they were starting studying when the COVID happens, let's say. Now they are on the final, like a year of the study, and I think they are also nervous, because all the guidance that we had that previously say, this is what you do when you come to the working environment, now is completely different, right? And that's so that let's talk a bit about that. And I believe what the discussion that we will have today will at least give them a short guidance and a small clue what they need to prepare and how to survive.
So go ahead, Ravi.
Sorry, Abhi, I just wanted to share an anecdote. And I've had the personal fortune of looking at the journey of my own niece, who has gone through this transition. And she was in her program while COVID struck. She got her placements while, she started work while, and now the offices are reopening. So there's an entire transition that she has gone through. And this has been a very exciting phase for a lot of us who are now coming back to office. But it can also be a very anxious phase for many who have never been to an office before, who have only seen people on Zoom all the time. And now you're suddenly asked to come to office and interact. And this can be quite challenging for young professionals, or exciting, depending on what part of the spectrum you're in. So what kind of guidance do you think you should, or they should look out for to become more effective at their workplaces? Maybe I'll start with that question, and Abhi, I'll let you lead from there.
Sure, Rafi. So basically, actually, when we are talking about how to prepare, it is not only about how the young talent prepare, but also us who will welcome them on board will need to prepare also. Let me talk from my end first, as the person in the organization. What I think I need to prepare for them is showing them that yes, the world is changing, but we are happy to welcome them, and we do our best to support them. Let's say all the materials on the supporting, which for me, onboarding process are very important things. For me, as always, onboarding people, the new people who join the company is always important. That's why we need to really prepare. And we need to tweak also on preparing what to do to make sure that they are okay. Because I think most of the companies still apply the hybrid mode, right? Meaning that the bonding will not be as strong as back then when we can welcome them and sit with them every single day. Now the situation is changed. That's from our end. That's the homework that we need to do and to support. And on their side, on those young talent that maybe they start working when the COVID things happen, so they work from home. Now they have to come to the office, and it is not easy to to recognize people, because we usually talk like this, and then when we meet, we still need to put the mask on in the office area, right? So they really need to understand that. I know that everybody will feel nervous about, wow, this is excited, but then what they need to prepare is how they understand the company and how they will be very open on listening, because the skill on listening and communication, it's quite different when we do working remotely and when we meet in person.
Yeah.
That will be like something that mandatory, whether you came from any background of anything that you study at your college, but still when you meet in person, the most important is how to communicate. And I think that's start being a problem for everyone, because all the communication previously was like this, right? Online, Zoom and everything.
Yeah.
Meeting in person, sometimes we forgot about how to communicate clearly, and we will be very busy with the phone.
Yeah.
Because
That is so true.
yeah,
That is so
right.
true.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, one or two of the organizations that I was talking to, the HR onboarding teams, they're really, really focusing on, the in-person onboarding, because
Yeah.
they're also not, they also realize that things have changed, right? And then, how to really assign a buddy, or, those kind of, elements are very important in the upcoming onboarding models, because while these were like informal arrangements all this while, I think organizations are making it a point that, they do all of those, so that, this onboarding really works. Because again, it's a hybrid model, right?
Yeah.
So if it's only a few days at a home, and then, they go back to office for a couple of days, again, they come back to remote working, right? So I think that the preparations are from both sides.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah. So just keeping that as the thread, right? What do you think where do you see organizations are doing differently for, let's say, campus graduates for whom there are no prior work experience? Because someone who's a lateral joiner could actually still be able to kind of see through this or live through this because they have those experiences. But the first time joiners who do not have a prior work experience, do you see anything that the organizations are today doing differently?
I think what will be we really put an underline and put the text on bold is how we choose the talent, right? Because we really need to also understand that the standard that we apply before will be quite different, because back then, before the COVID, everything was in a different frame of work and then frame of conversation. But now, the way they also study at school, at their university, for instance, it's quite different, because I don't think they also have the opportunity to meet in person with their friends, their all the teachers and everything, right? So how the organization can adjust on that, and of course, similar to what Abin mentioned, that the preparation on the organization side will be need to be more strong, because again, this young talent, they don't have an experience on working and really in an environment of working. They do everything by themselves previously, like isolated, if I might say, using that works. But that will be like how we help them to meet the expectation, of course. So we know the standard of every single position that we try to hire, especially when we, not, I think a lot of organization is also willing to support and develop the young talent, give them the opportunity to work and plan about their career when they are joining the company. But this is not about the same plan that we prepare before. We really need to focus on the personal skills, like what Abin mentioned, that how we make sure that they are engaged, how we make sure that they got everything they need to deliver their work, and then starting helping them on developing their career in the future. So if we are talking about skill set, I believe that, what I have in my mind all the time, I never only, referring to like a top 5 university. That's not me, completely not me, because I am also not coming for a very, famous and big university. Maybe I'm on a second layers of the university back then in 2000. No, before that, I graduate in 1999. So I'm very old. but
welcome to the club.
Thank you, Ravi. But at that time also, I need to compete, right? The way I prepare myself to compete is I need to open myself for any new knowledge. I really need to challenge myself, because at the end of the day, whether you came from top university or the second level or whatever you call it in the market, this is not about the university itself. This is how you bring yourself,
Right.
how you can value yourself and present yourself and ready to get the new challenge, to upgrade and upskilling yourself. I think Abin and Rafi, I believe you guys also agree with that.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with what you said. One of the things that I wanted to ask you as a follow-up, which is, if there were two things that you would advise students to do as they start work back in a hybrid mode now, with partly off and partly on, what are the two elements that you want to really help them pay attention to help them become much more valuable to organizations? So how can they do that?
First, never waiting. That's the most important thing. Never waiting for any senior person in the organization to give you task. Be proactive. Go for it. You need to really open the conversation and tell them that, hey, I am ready. What should I do? And you can ask some tasks that you feel will help you to develop yourself. That's the first one. So be open, be very communicative, and not waiting for them to come to you. You need to come to them. And the second one, challenge yourself to learn. Because nowadays, the internet is very, ready to support you, to support your development. Back then, I believe all of us, the three of us, we need to go to get some books, reading it, right? And that time, like and especially in my college, not a lot of people speak English like right now. So, I bring the dictionary, I bring the book, that all the literature that I read is everything in English. Then I do study and need to read it. But now you just need to type in on your internet and you can get all the answer. So the self-development is really a self-development. Everybody can go for additional course they want to take outside of their, their standard college that they want, they already learned with their friends. All the improvement, it will be very individuals. And that's why the competition will be like a very high also. So I think that's the important one. Proactive, and then never stop learning.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Abhi, if you allow me one more question as a follow-up.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to test with you is the complaint that we receive a lot from managers or senior managers in the organization is that the millennials are very demanding, and that the generation after that is even more demanding. So they really want to be, they want everything quickly. What would, and based on your guidance, it looks like this is a very welcome thing for you, because it's about engagement, and engagement comes with really coming in and demanding. So how can they create a perception that they are not just purely demanding or entitled, but they are also valuable? So what would you recommend that they do other than asking or reaching out, that they can become a lot more valuable to the organization?
Okay, this is what usually I share to, people on the last year, that I mentioned to them. First, before you really ready to come to the organization and start working, find an opportunity for you to do the internship. That will be very valuable, because they will help you to prepare on understanding the organization and find the right things about, is this really a career that I want to pursue for the next step? That's one thing. But then the second one, again, this is about how you value your individual differences. So when you understand what you want, and you, let's say I'm joining a new company as an administration people who will help all to do the administration. Find all the information that you might need to support your work, and then you can also mention it to all the managers, all the superior, or any senior person that will be working closely with you, what you expect from your end, so they understand what you want to do, where you want to go. So they also realize that they need to prepare themselves to support you, because at the end of the day, when we are talking about helping young talent to prepare their journey, yeah, well, everybody has to realize we will not forever become the person in charge of this organization. We need to prepare the next generation to replace us, and they have to be much more better than us when delivering the work, right? That's why everyone has to be on that, same way of thinking, to understand that, hey, I'm developing someone to be a better me version in the future, to take care this role. And that will be helping us also to prepare ourselves to teach them. It is not easy, of course, become the buddy, helping them, guide them. It's always take another effort, but I believe as a leader, that that's a must. You will not be forever as the director, the chief of everything, right? You need to prepare them. So what I really want that from both sides realize that this is an important step. So for all the young talents there, hey, I know you guys are quite, you feel excited about the new journey, but you need to also really prepare. It is not always about like waiting for the order to come to you. Make sure you have plan. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be prepared, especially now. If you are now in a final year, then you need to prepare. Not preparing only about, your paper and everything, but also when you step in the work environment, where do you want to go? You need to prepare your career plan.
Yeah.
I hope that answered the questions, Ravi.
Yeah, I think absolutely, and I think I was actually watching this saying from Simon Sinek, right? He has this one of his speeches where he talks about the millennials and this instant gratification and some of these things, how it becomes kind of an entitlement. So the point that you mentioned, Ravi, but I think that generation I see also some of them really forthcoming, like you're saying, Ranny, right? And they are really preparing themselves, where they know exactly, they may not know the end state, but they know that they have a direction they want to go. They are forthcoming in terms of the learning. They come ahead and say, I can do 2 internships at the same time, right? I know some of them who are kind of doing a full-time internship, but saying, hey, part-time, I still want to do something different, right? To have a broader learning exposure, right? So I think those are things. I think the other thing that I see is this generation is also kind of very clear about what their intentions are in terms of work. So sometimes we feel that they are not responsible enough, they don't value the opportunities. But if we take a step back, I had this instance where one of them came up to me and said, I do not have 8 hours of work. You pay me for 6 hours, I'm fine, because I'm actually contributing only 6 hours. But don't hold me back. Can you actually give me a reduced work schedule, right? Where I can go and do what I really find value in the remaining 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever I work, I want, right? It was kind of a new thing for me at that point in time. But I think the college pass outs I see when I speak to them, the current final year students, and some of them, I think a lot of them actually are also on that direction, right? But the point that I'm trying to make is they are clear in their minds, quite a lot of them, what they are up to, right? And I think that's where we as organizations have to prepare for them, right, to onboard them with those kind of mindsets. So having said this, Rani, do you think everything that we say that they should be doing, all of these, many of these things are not always part of the curriculum, right? So let's say when they are. So overall, I think Ravi and me have ventured into this community of practice to onboard students and have all of these sharing to ensure that what is not part of the curriculum, we complement those elements, right, by inviting students onto this student community, right? So Grow at Pace is actually, has the student community, right? Now, what do you think are, let's say, 1 to 3 things that you feel colleges should also kind of speak about? Not necessarily they need to include in the curriculum, but they need to emphasize that, or if I can use the word mandate at some point in time, because sometimes you need to push people to some extent, before they get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right. So anything on that?
Yeah. Wow. Well, actually, it will not be three, but maybe it's just one, but they like highlighted everything because this is what I back then complained to some university when I open an opportunity for internship or hiring a new fresh grade. Like they are not really engaged with the current trend in the market of working. I always said to all the lecturer also, I mentioned that, hey, I know you guys are talking about, the basic theoreticals about everything that they need to learn. But at the same time, you need to really prepare them. So what I think supposed to be like a part of the mandatory that they now the all the organization like university has is how they really make sure that what they prepare on the curriculum will be able to be applied directly on the work field. For instance, like having like this kind of conversation, of course, not because this is like as you mentioned, this is an additional that the way we support them. But I believe like all the college, the university need also to be engaged more with the real situation in the market. The market grows very fast, and I think we are agree that sometimes when we try to prepare something, all of a sudden the trend is different, right? So how they, inviting anyone with their expertise in work come to the class, just have like a 30 to 45 minutes about what is the new trend, how now the working environment like a treat, and then what happened in the market, what is the new trend, what this is will helping all the students to explore more, prepare more. And we as the people who wants to see them success in the future, of course, we do our best to support, right? So I think that's something that mandatory need to be done in part of the study, because I did that also here in Indonesia. So I engage with some campus, some university, some college also, to mention to them that, hey, if you need someone to help them to understand what is the real life in working environment, let me know. I can help you to connect with them, so all your students will have better understanding, because we are not talking about theoretical again when they come to the working environment, right? So I think that's the way, and I think what the AtPace now doing is quite, great to support them. You guys helping them to prepare themselves to be ready to be really jump in on the working environment later on. So I think like a one thing that really I think will become a mandatory is how to make sure that we build the bridge on preparing them. That's from our end, and from the student itself is how they really put their mind open that, hey, you will go to another life process. This will be a different level of life. This will be life changing that you have, from kids to middle school, and then college life, and then now you go to the working life. So you need to really prepare and introducing them to everyone like us, like what we are doing right now, is helping them to prepare themselves better.
Right. So if I can, just on a similar note, right, or a related note, sometimes we find these millennials, or I always get confused what to call the current generation. Okay, but I think the final year pass outs or early professionals now, I see there's a lot of alignment that they can have with someone who's maybe about 3, 4, 5 years experience right now, because they feel they've just gone through the journey that these people are venturing into, right? So let's say 3 of us have gone through a new onboarding 15 years back, right? So a lot of time these students, they don't relate to us, they relate to the early professionals, right? So this question, I think I open to both of you, Ravi and Rani, saying any message to the early professionals, because I think what typically happens is a lot of them get engrossed or get focused on the delivery part of it, their work, their roles and all. But I think would you kind of recommend that early, right, when they're just about 3, 4, 5 years, is also a phase where they should give back to maybe, it could be their own college, it could be in any format, to these communities of practice. So what's your message to that group about how much time or how much effort they should find out, right? You know what they are into right now, all of us know. So anything that you want to share to that group, saying it's important for them to spend time bringing up their next levels.
Ravi, you want to go first?
No, I would go after you, because that way I don't have to say all good stuff. You say the real good stuff, and I just say I agree with that.
Okay, so I think those 3 to 4 years experience, meaning that they've been doing all the details work, and then in the 4th years they are ready to lead something, and I encourage them to start lead something by preparing how their next successor is ready, meaning that when you go to the like a higher level, you need to prepare someone who can replicate what you've been doing so far, and how to do it the best, to teach them, to guide them, to be their buddy. So at the same time, you can also prepare yourself about how I can lead them. That the generation gap is not as big as us.
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
they still speak the same language,
Language.
talking about like the same trend, understand, all the trends in Asia now is about
Yeah.
the Korean things, right?
Yeah,
K-drama, K-pop.
yeah.
So I believe they still have the same interest. So it's more easier for them to understand and deliver the message, because they speak the same language. So for those who now are young professional, and 3 to 4 years, you are ready to become a leader. Or there is a 2 career journey as usual, as I think everybody knows that. First, become a specialist that really focus on developing things and not really help like doing the everything by like lead them, but become their pairs, become their partners. And the other one is a part of the managerial structure. This 2 journey is now you need to make decision. They like 3 to 4 years.
Early.
Yeah.
Very early we need to take the
So
decisions.
you need to make the decision, where do you want to go, and at the same time you can also prepare how you start contributing on preparing your next successor in the future, because that's we are all of us, the 3 of us is ready for that. We are doing that from time to time, because we know that we are not forever in this position. And now for you guys, you also need to prepare. Remember, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because mistakes is part of the learning journey for everybody. We are here. We do make mistakes in the past, and from that we are also learning, right? So I think that's something that sometimes stop them to do and challenge them to get better, because they are afraid to make mistake. Don't be afraid to make mistake, because mistake will be a part of your learning journey, and we are here to support you, not to judge you.
Right.
That's from me, Ravi. Now your turn.
Thank you. I think I will follow my original strategy and say that I agree with Rani, which is the first step. But I think more important than that, I would just like to add one more piece on top, which is be a sponsor for people who are coming in, and learn from them so that you can also get sponsors in your organization. So I think that's quite crucial, because sponsorship is a key part of the overall process. It's almost like, who do you want to trust to take the organization into the future? You want to trust somebody who can gain sponsorship from senior management and also become sponsors of people who are coming as the young talent. So realistically, being that kind of person who can do both at the same time is very, very valuable to organizations. And that's true engagement, because that shows that you are very aligned with your goals. So I think to take your point to that, to give another perspective on that, is really about trying to become that connector between senior management and, let's say, all the other parts of the ecosystem. How can you do that? How can you do that more effectively? And I really love your comment, Rani, about the fact that don't be afraid to make mistakes. There's just one element that I would like to add to that is Once you make it, learn from it and don't make it again, please. So that should help you to become better and faster and pivot more and more. And that should really you will become even more valuable to yourself, to your CV, and to the organization.
Right. Awesome, Ravi. So we are almost towards the end of the live stream, but I just have one question. But while I'm asking that question, maybe or two parts to that question. One is, how important do you think is networking right at this level, right? Because they're just in college, they're probably they will, by the end of the year, all the final year students will be gearing up and appearing for their placements and all. But networking is something we always talk about, when you get into the industry, business networking and all. But do you think networking is important as early as the final year or even before that? So anything on that? And while I say that, I'll bring up the community space, just keep it there for people to see. Yeah.
Well, when you are talking about networking, I know Abin because I opened myself for a new network. That's why we also grow because of the network. I believe Abin and I agree that we are in this level right now. We are able to meet each other. It's because of the network. So I always encourage everyone, open yourself for networking. This is not only will be part of a very nice career journey and that you will have in the future, but having a good network is helping you on finding the solution of any problems related to work, your personal life, anything you interest with. So it's always very important. So since the beginning, I think you need to also build your network. That's from me.
Yeah. Anything from you, Ravi?
No, I think be deliberate about your networking. I think that's one thing that I would always ask you to. Everybody's time is precious. So please be deliberate about what you choose to use that time for. That's one part. The second part is networking is not just about receiving. The more you give, the better you become. So I think it's back to the book, Adam Grant's book. It's really about giving as much as it's about taking. So don't be just a taker from the network. Try and contribute to it. Try and do more, and try and help people, because that really puts you in that space. So two things for me: be deliberate and be also a giver to your network.
Yeah. So this is what we have, Ranny, and I think I know at some point as part of the Asia HRM onboarding, we all also had signed up. But this is the community where we kind of not only talk about the interview preparation and all of that, but it's also about what's going on in industry. If you see mental health and wellness, all of those are so important, right? So we have posts on that, the sharings on that, maybe some of the things that are not even so much aligned with HR as of now, but this is not only about HR, right? It's about the entire industry. So we have some of us sharing about NFT, so whatever new things we learn, right? But I think the overall intent is to ensure that we come, collaborate, learn from each other, and prepare for. So I think one of the things I remember you calling out, saying the umbrella thing is they're not updated about what's happening in industry. They shouldn't stay back from doing that, right? So I'll just have one last question. I'll stop the share, but I think I'll have one last question, saying one last takeaway for students that you both do not recommend them to do when they are venturing into this journey of campus to corporate. So something that they should not do. Right? Anything that you see
of
that
course,
they're doing.
Of course, it will be the the other side of all the explanation that we share. So become a very passive one. Of course, that's not recommended, and then doesn't want to encourage yourself to learn something new.
Right.
that will be also something that stop you to move forward. So I think it's also not only for them, but also for us. It's applied for us.
That's
If
right.
you want to go to be a better version of yourself, make sure that don't be passive and you cannot stop learning. That's the most important thing. So I give this to the highlight on my part.
Thanks, Ravi. What do you
Well, my piece is quite simple. I think enrich yourself constantly and enrich others around you, because in doing that, you become a talent magnet and you become super attractive for the organization. And that's a skill. And that's a skill that needs to be learned and it needs to be practiced as an art. So I think that's the two pieces. Get good at it and get really good at it. And that should really, people follow people. People don't follow organizations and people don't follow concepts. People follow people. So be that person that people want to follow. And then you will have lots of success. And that's my take.
Great. Thanks, Ravi and Ranny for that. And I think we are almost at the end of the live stream, but I think whoever's watching or whoever watches this as a deferred live, welcome to the community. It's Grow at Pace, as we call it. Come and join us. It's more of a campus to corporate journey that we want to drive. We have final year students, we have subject matter experts and professionals, and we have seniors like Ravi and Rani. So, happy learning, I think. And the thing is, we really have fun there. So if you see, we're talking of NFT, upskilling, and we also have, domain specific learnings. So come engage and let's learn together. Thanks for your time, Rani. Thanks, Ravi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rani. It was awesome to have you.
Of course.
I'm very grateful for your time, and I look forward to inviting you again to one of our future sessions.
Sure. We'll be happy to have, a lot of things that we can help them, right, on preparing themselves. So I'll be happy to be involved. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ravi.
Having a great Saturday for you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye. I think